Far away from Earth, in a galaxy full of stars, the planet Varellon burned. Smoke covered the cities and fire spread across the plains. The people of Varellon, called the Aelari, had lived in peace for many generations. Their cities were bright, their science advanced, and they had never faced such destruction. Now their homes were crumbling, and their sky was full of the ships of the Tark, a cruel species that took worlds and destroyed everything that resisted. High Seer Alvrin, the leader of the Aelari, stood on a balcony of what was left of the capital city, Tyrannel. His long white robes were scorched and his hands shook as he held a small device. The device was an old subspace transmitter, built to send messages across the galaxy. He pressed the button and whispered, "Please, someone, hear us." He knew the odds were low. For decades, the Aelari had sent messages into space, hoping for contact with other civilizations. Most times the messages were ignored. Many planets and empires did not care about others. Some had even laughed at the Aelari for trying to call for help, but Alvrin had no choice. If no one came, the Tark would enslave or kill every living Aelari. In a dark room on Earth, Captain Laura Harris watched a screen filled with strange signals. She worked at a secret military listening post in Nevada. Beside her, engineer Ethan Cole adjusted a transmitter. "This pattern is different," Ethan said. "It's not random. Someone is calling." Laura leaned forward. "It's faint, but yes, it's a distress call. I've never seen anything like it." "Can we trace it?" Ethan nodded. "It's far, very far, thousands of light years away. But it's there. Someone is asking for help." Laura felt a strange pull in her chest. She had studied space for years, and she had read stories of alien civilizations. Most of the time, these were only theories. Now she was listening to a real call from real beings in danger. "We can't ignore this," she said quietly. "If no one else answers, we should." In the council room of Earth's Interstellar Command, her words were met with doubt. "Captain Harris," said Admiral Ford, an older man with gray hair, "we don't know what's out there. It could be a trap. The Tark may be waiting for us." Laura shook her head. "We can't wait. If we do nothing, millions will die, and history will judge us for staying silent." The council debated for hours. Some argued that the galaxy was too dangerous. Others said it was impossible to reach the coordinates in time. But Laura stood firm. "If we do not act, who will? We can survive what others cannot. We have to try." Finally, the council agreed to send a mission. They chose a small, fast ship built for exploration and combat. It carried a mix of scientists, engineers, and soldiers. It was called the Vanguard. Laura was given command. Ethan joined her as chief engineer. The crew trained day and night, learning to work together. They studied the strange coordinates, planned supply routes, and ran simulations. Meanwhile, on Varellon, the Aelari fought desperately. Soldiers ran through the streets trying to hold back the Tark. Families hid in underground shelters, listening to the screaming of their neighbors. Smoke choked the air and the sky glowed red. High Seer Alvrin moved from place to place, helping guide the survivors. His voice was calm, but his eyes were filled with fear. "Hold on," he said to every group he found. "Help is coming. I believe it will come." Days passed. The Tark continued to attack. Their ships fired energy beams that tore buildings apart. Their ground forces destroyed everything in their path. And still the Aelari survived. They had no weapons that could match the Tark. They had no fleets that could fight in space. All they had was hope. On Earth, the Vanguard prepared to launch. Laura walked the deck, watching her crew. "This is our chance to show the galaxy who we are," she said. Ethan joined her, carrying a toolkit and a small tablet of data. "It's more than that," he said. "It's about proving we care. If no one else answers, we will." The ship lifted from the ground with a roar. It moved faster than any human ship had moved before. The stars streaked past as the crew entered hyperspace. Laura felt a weight on her shoulders. They were leaving everything they knew behind. They were going into unknown space, to a planet that was dying, to people they had never met. Yet she felt no fear, only determination. Meanwhile, back on Varellon, Alvrin's hand shook as he watched the skies. The Tark commander, WarZone, had sent a message of his own. "Your planet is mine. Surrender or die." The Aelari whispered to each other, fear in their voices. But Alvrin remained firm. "Even if no one comes," he said, "we will survive as best we can." In orbit above the planet, the first human sensors picked up the destruction. The Vanguard scanners showed cities burning, energy fields collapsing, and Tark ships orbiting like predators. Laura stared at the screen. "It's worse than I imagined," she said. Ethan put his hand on her shoulder. That's why we are here. We are not leaving them behind. On the planet's surface, the Alari watched strange objects appear in the sky. The first ships of the vanguard were small dots against the red haze. And then suddenly, larger ships appeared behind them carrying humans. Soldiers ran across the plains using weapons that fired with terrifying speed and power. Drones flew overhead scanning the Tark positions. The Alari had never seen anything like it. Alvrin whispered to himself, "Who are these people?" A young Alari child pointed to a human soldier running through fire to save a trapped family. "They are fearless," the child said. Others nodded, eyes wide. "They are Deathworlders," one Alari elder said, and the word spread. The humans came from a world harsh and deadly. They were survivors, trained by storms, radiation, hunger, and danger. They did not flinch, and they did not stop. Laura and her crew landed near the last standing city. The ground shook from Tark bombardment. Smoke filled the air, making it hard to breathe. But the humans pressed forward. Soldiers carried civilians. Engineers fixed broken energy fields, and medics treated the wounded. Ethan ran beside a small group, checking power lines and helping anyone trapped under rubble. The Alari could not believe their eyes. These humans walked through fire, through radiation, through falling buildings without fear. They risked themselves for others, strangers who had never met them. One Alari woman whispered, "They come to help." "They are not afraid." High Seer Alvrin approached the humans. His voice shook, but he spoke clearly. Why do you come? Why risk your lives for us?" Laura stepped forward. Her eyes were steady. "Because we can, and because no one else will." The Alari did not fully understand. Their lives had been safe, their world gentle. They had never needed warriors like these. But now, in the midst of death and fire, they saw the truth. Humans came from a world harsh and cruel, yet they carried mercy in their hearts. They were Deathworlders, but they were also saviors. As night fell, the sky over Varellon was still red with fire. Tark ships patrolled above, waiting, watching. The humans set up a perimeter, treating the wounded and preparing for battle. The Alari followed, hesitant but hopeful. They whispered the word again, Deathworlders. It was not a curse. It was a name of respect. Laura looked at the city, then at the stars. "We are just beginning," she said. "This fight is not over. But we will not fail, not while they are alive." And in the shadows, the Tark commander watched, fury in his eyes. He had never seen enemies like these humans, creatures who walked through fire and death without fear. He knew that the coming days would be different. The Alari might survive, and Earth's Deathworlders were only just arriving. The Vanguard hovered in orbit above Varellon. Smoke and fire covered the planet, and the Tark fleet patrolled above the ruined cities. The humans on the Vanguard prepared for their first landing. Captain Laura Harris stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the glowing planet below. "Ethan, what's the status of the landing teams?" she asked. Ethan Cole, the chief engineer, looked up from the console. "All teams ready, Captain. Weapons loaded, medical units prepared, rescue pods online." "We can deploy now," Laura nodded. "Deploy. And remember, protect the civilians first. We cannot leave anyone behind." The landing pods descended through the thick smoke. The heat of burning buildings made the atmosphere heavy, but the humans moved without fear. Soldiers ran out first, weapons ready. Medics followed, carrying kits and stretchers. Engineers moved to secure power lines and communications. On the ground, the Alari watched from their hiding places. Most had never seen humans before. They had expected help from distant alien civilizations, not creatures who could walk through fire as if it were rain. A young Alari boy, Talon, peeked from behind a broken wall. His wide eyes followed a human soldier who lifted a trapped Alari woman out of a burning building. The soldier's clothes were scorched, his arms blackened from smoke, but he did not hesitate. They are fearless," Talon whispered to his sister. The girl nodded. "They are from the death world," she said. "That is what my father always told me. They are strong." High Seer Alvrin walked among the civilians. His eyes were weary, but he noticed the humans carefully. One by one, the humans rescued the trapped and the injured. Engineers began repairing broken energy shields that could help protect the survivors from air attacks. Medics worked tirelessly, treating burns and cuts. Laura moved with her soldiers. "Clear this street," she ordered. "Move the civilians to the safe zone." Soldier Ryan Miller led a group of Alari children. "Follow me," he said. "Stay close. Don't stop." They ran through alleys, avoiding the Tark patrols. The Tark fired energy beams indiscriminately, but the humans fought back with precision. Above the city, Tark ships circled like vultures. The Tark commander WarZone observed the humans. His claws tapped against the control panel. "They are weak," he said to his officers. "They come from a small primitive world. They cannot match us. Destroy them." But the humans were not weak. The Vanguard's drones attacked the Tark ships, disrupting their sensors and communication. Humans in smaller fighter pods swooped through the air, striking with speed and skill. Each human knew the dangers of their own death world, and they used every tactic they had learned from surviving storms, earthquakes, and deserts on Earth. Ethan worked near a collapsed energy tower. Sparks flew around him and smoke made it hard to see. A small group of Aelari watched him. "He is fixing the power while the enemy shoots at them?" One whispered. "Yes," said another. "Humans are strange. They are fearless and cruel to themselves, but kind to others." Ethan tightened a connection. The energy grid hummed to life, powering the nearby shelters. Children ran out, smiling and safe. One Aelari boy hugged Ethan's leg. Ethan smiled tiredly. "Stay safe," he said. "We are here to help." Laura moved to the center of the city. She spoke to High Seer Alvrin. "We are here to protect you. The Tark will leave or they will face us." Alvrin bowed slightly. "Your courage. It is beyond what we imagined. We have never seen such beings." Laura looked at the burning city, then at the skies. "We do not leave anyone behind. That is the way of our world." The Tark grew frustrated. WarZone sent messages of mockery, calling the humans reckless and foolish. "They will die," he hissed. "They will fail." But humans did not falter. Soldier Mia Collins led a team through a collapsed street, carrying injured Aelari. They used their body armor to shield the civilians from falling debris. When a Tark patrol appeared, they fought with speed and determination, pushing the aliens back while keeping the civilians safe. The Aelari could not believe what they saw. Their lives had always been safe, guided by science and rules. They had never fought for survival in this way. Watching the humans, they whispered a new word: Deathworlders. It was not a curse, but a name of respect. These beings came from a world so harsh that they had learned to survive anything. At night, the humans set up defensive positions. Fire still burned, and smoke covered the city like a dark cloud. Laura walked among the soldiers, checking their status. "We cannot let them rest," she said. "They will come again in the morning. We must be ready." Ethan approached her, carrying a small Aelari device he had repaired. "We can amplify communications now. The survivors can call for help inside the shelters. They are safe for tonight," Laura nodded. "Good work, Ethan. Rest is short, but even a small victory matters." The Tark fleet did not retreat. They circled the city, firing long-range energy beams to keep humans occupied. But the humans adapted. Fighter pods swooped down, drawing fire away from civilians. Engineers set traps for the ground troops. Medics worked under fire, moving from one injured Aelari to another. Inside one shelter, a small group of Aelari children huddled together. Talon, the boy who had watched the first rescues, asked, "Will they protect us?" "Yes," said his sister. "The humans are here. They do not fear fire or death. They are from the death world." High Seer Alvrin walked among them, his eyes filled with hope for the first time in weeks. "These humans," he whispered, "they are more than warriors. They are protectors." Outside, Laura watched the horizon. The city was scarred, but the humans had saved hundreds of lives already. They had shown mercy where the Tark showed none. She knew the coming days would be even harder. The Tark reinforcements would arrive and the battles would grow more dangerous. But Laura also knew something else. Humanity had come to Varelon, and the Aelari would survive because of them. They had not just brought weapons, they had brought courage, skill, and mercy. As the night deepened, Ethan worked on repairing a collapsed energy tower. Sparks flew around him, but he ignored them. A small Aelari girl approached him. "Why do you risk yourself?" she asked. Ethan smiled gently. "Because we do not leave anyone behind. That is what humans do." The girl nodded slowly, understanding more than she could explain. Around her, other Aelari watched humans moving through fire and smoke, saving lives, refusing to stop even when danger was all around. High Seer Alvrin returned to his office, looking out at the burning city. For the first time, he believed that help had arrived. If only the galaxy could see them, he said softly. Perhaps others would learn what mercy truly means. The humans, meanwhile, were preparing for the next day. Weapons checked, medics ready, engineers standing by. They had learned the ways of Varellon quickly, but they had also taught the Aelari to hope. And in the shadows, WarZone and his Tark officers watched, anger and disbelief in their eyes. They had expected weak humans, easy to crush. Instead, they found warriors who did not fear fire, explosions, or death itself. The Tark did not know how to fight these creatures who carried mercy like a weapon. Laura looked up at the stars and whispered, "Tomorrow will be harder. But we will not fail. Not while they are alive." The Aelari, hiding in shelters and ruined buildings, whispered the word again, Deathworlders. It was no longer just a name, it was a promise. A promise that when the weak cried for help, some beings would answer. And the beings who answered came from Earth. The sun rose over Varellon, but the city below was still a place of fire and smoke. The Tark had not left. Their ships circled above, their energy beams tearing through streets and ruins. The humans did not rest. Captain Laura Harris stood on a ridge looking down at the city. "Ethan, what's the situation on the ground?" she asked. Ethan Cole wiped sweat from his brow. "All rescue teams are in place. Civilians are in shelters. Power grids are partially restored, but the Tark reinforcements could arrive at any time. We need to prepare," Laura nodded. "Then we fight with everything we have. We protect these people no matter what." Soldier Ryan Miller led a small team through the streets, checking on survivors and clearing paths. His group carried medical supplies, water, and food. The Tark fired at them from above, but the humans moved with speed and precision, using rubble for cover and launching counterattacks when necessary. On the edge of the city, engineer Ethan worked to repair a collapsed energy tower. Sparks flew around him, but he ignored the danger. A group of Aelari followed him, curious and afraid. One of them, a young medic named Liren, asked softly, "Why do you risk yourself?" Ethan smiled. "Because we do not leave anyone behind. That is the way of our world." Liren watched him work, fascinated. She had seen humans walk through fire, carry injured civilians under attack, and face death without fear. They were different from any being she had known. Meanwhile, Laura coordinated with the Vanguard in orbit. "We need air support on the east side of the city," she said. "Civilians are trapped there. Send in the pods and drone teams." The human drones swooped down, firing at Tark patrols and clearing paths for soldiers to reach the trapped citizens. Pilot Sam Turner guided the drones with skill, dodging energy beams and keeping the civilians safe. High Seer Alvarin watched from a protected vantage point. His heart raced as he saw humans risking themselves for his people. He had never seen courage like this. He whispered to a nearby elder, "They come from a harsh world. They are Deathworlders, and they carry mercy with them." The Tark commander, WarZone, was furious. "These humans are not afraid. Destroy them all," he shouted. But his officers hesitated. Every attack they launched was met with resistance. Every trap they set was outsmarted by human ingenuity. On the ground, Mia Collins led a team into a collapsed district. She carried an injured Aelari child over her shoulder. The building above them creaked and threatened to fall, but she did not stop. When the Tark patrol appeared, she fired with accuracy and strength, taking them down one by one. The Aelari watched in awe. They had never imagined that creatures could face such danger and still protect others. They began to understand what the humans meant by mercy. The Deathworlders did not fear pain or death. They feared leaving the innocent behind. In a central plaza, Ethan connected a repaired energy tower to the city's remaining power grid. The lights flickered on and shelters came alive with warmth and safety. Children cheered quietly, their first hope in weeks. Liren stayed close to him, helping carry small tools and learning how humans worked under pressure. Laura moved through the city, coordinating attacks and rescues. She spotted a group of Tark soldiers approaching a shelter. "Ryan, intercept them," she ordered. Ryan's team ran, firing weapons that humans had adapted from Earth's toughest battlefields. The Tark fell back, surprised by the humans' speed and skill. Laura watched them retreat. "They are not ready for us," she said quietly. Above the city, the Vanguard fired orbital cannons at Tark positions. The explosions shook the ground, sending smoke and debris into the air. Humans on the streets adjusted their movements, using the blasts as cover to reach trapped civilians. One young Aelari girl, hiding behind a ruined wall, whispered, "They are not afraid. They do not run. They fight to protect us." Her mother nodded, tears in her eyes. "We are lucky," she said. They are our saviors. The Tark realized that the humans were unlike any enemy they had faced. They were strong, clever, and fearless, and most of all, they protected the weak. Forzan's anger grew with every failed attack. "They are impossible," he shouted. "They come from a world that breeds warriors. Stop them." But the humans had more than courage. They had strategy. Laura led her soldiers to high ground, using ruins for cover and guiding civilians to safe zones. Ethan coordinated with Liren and the Elari engineers to repair communication arrays, allowing teams to coordinate quickly across the city. The night fell, but the fight did not stop. Tark patrols tried to infiltrate shelters, but human soldiers were ready. Mia and Ryan led defensive teams, using traps and ambushes to slow the enemy. Civilians were protected at every turn. In a destroyed marketplace, Laura found a group of children trapped under rubble. She called for Ethan. Together they lifted heavy beams and cleared debris, saving the children just as a Tark energy beam struck nearby. The children ran to safety, shouting with joy. High Seer Alvarin watched and whispered, "They are more than warriors. They are protectors." Ethan checked the power lines one last time before night fully fell. "We have done what we can tonight," he said. "Tomorrow will be harder, but the civilians are safe for now." Laura gathered her officers. "Rest is short," she said. "The Tark will return in force. We need to be ready. We fight not just with weapons, but with courage. Remember why we are here. We protect the innocent. We survive. We win." The Elari began to understand. These humans were not only strong, they were merciful. They could walk through fire and smoke, face death without hesitation, and still care for others. The word spread quietly among the survivors. Deathworlders. It was not a curse. It was a name of respect, a symbol of hope. Meanwhile, WarZone prepared his reinforcements. New Tark ships appeared on the horizon, their numbers greater than before. But he felt fear he had never felt. These humans were different. They did not act like other species. They did not retreat, and they did not hesitate to protect the weak. On the vanguard, Laura watched the reinforcements arrive. "They are bigger in number," she said. "But we are stronger in will. We have to hold them. We have to show them what humans can do." Ethan prepared the city's defenses. "The shelters are ready. Civilians are safe. We have traps set for the ground troops. We will not give up." Night turned to dawn. Fires still burned, but the humans had saved hundreds of lives. They had protected the civilians, repaired the power grid, and fought the enemy at every turn. The Elari whispered among themselves, amazed. "They survive everything," one said. "They are from a world that kills the weak but strengthens the strong. They are Deathworlders." Laura looked at the horizon. Smoke rose in the distance, but she did not waver. "We fight because we must," she said. "We fight because they cannot fight for themselves. And we fight because that is who we are." Ethan joined her, his face streaked with soot. "They will come again," he said. "We must be ready," Laura nodded. "We are humans. We do not back down. Not when lives are at stake. Not when we are needed." Above them, the Tark watched silently. Their reinforcements were ready, but they did not understand the humans. They had never faced beings who could survive anything, who could endure fire, radiation, and death and still protect others. The humans were the Deathworlders, and the galaxy had never seen their like. The Elari huddled in their shelters, whispering the word again. Deathworlders. They had seen humans face the impossible and survive. They had seen humans carry mercy into battle, protect the weak, and refuse to retreat. And for the first time, the Elari dared to hope. Laura turned back to her officers. "We hold the city. We hold the people. And we will fight again tomorrow. No matter how many come against us, we will not fail." And so the humans prepared for the next battle. The Tark were coming in greater numbers, but the humans' courage and skill would not falter. They were Deathworlders forged by storms, fire, and danger on Earth. And on Varellon, their legend had only just begun. The next morning, Varellon's sky was filled with the distant shapes of the Tark Armada. Hundreds of ships moved toward the city, larger and stronger than any humans or Elari had seen. Smoke still covered the ground, and fires burned where the previous battles had taken their toll. Captain Laura Harris stood on the bridge of the Vanguard, her hands gripping the rail. "They're more than we expected," she said quietly. Ethan Cole checked the tactical displays. "Yes, but we are ready. We know their patterns now. We can outsmart them." Laura nodded. "We fight, we hold, and we protect everyone below. No retreat." Soldier Ryan Miller ran through the streets with his team, civilians to the shelters. "Move fast," he shouted. Children and families ran behind them, guided by humans who risked everything to keep them safe. Mia Collins led a squad to high ground, setting up heavy weapons and traps. "They will try to break through here," she said. "We stop them. No one passes." The Tark ships opened fire. Energy beams tore through the streets, demolishing buildings and sending debris into the air. Humans dove into cover, returned fire, and moved strategically. Drones from the vanguard flew ahead, intercepting attacks and confusing the enemy. Above the city, Laura coordinated all human forces. "Fighter pods, take the east flank. Drones protect civilians in the west." Her voice was calm but firm. Every order was precise, every movement calculated. Ethan ran to repair a power relay under fire. Sparks flew, smoke burned his eyes, but he continued. Beside him, Liran, the young Ailari medic, helped carry tools and small shields.
"How can you stay so calm?"
she asked. Ethan smiled. "We are from a death world. We survive everything. Fear does not stop us. Protecting others matters more than danger." The humans moved like shadows through fire. Soldier teams blocked Tark patrols while others rescued trapped Ailari. Medics ran through streets to treat burns and wounds. Engineers repaired energy shields to protect civilians from attacks. The city had become a battlefield, but the humans were everywhere at once. High Seer Alvrin watched from a secure vantage point. His heart pounded as he saw humans facing impossible odds. "They are fearless," he whispered. "They fight without hesitation. They are more than warriors, they are protectors of life itself." The Tark commander WarZone growled in frustration. "Why do they not break? They are only a small species. They cannot match us." But the humans had something the Tark did not understand. They were clever, adaptive, and merciless in their strategy, but always merciful to the weak. Laura's team set ambushes for Tark patrols, used explosives to collapse enemy paths, and launched precise strikes from above with drones. Ethan coordinated the repaired energy towers, connecting them with the city's grid. The towers emitted protective shields, blocking energy beams from hitting civilians. The Ailari watched in awe as humans turned ruined buildings into defensive positions. Soldier Ryan Miller blocked a group of Tark approaching a shelter. "You will not get through," he shouted. He fired rapidly, taking down several enemies while civilians ran to safety. The Tark hesitated, confused by the humans' relentless defense. Mia Collins and her team fought on high ground. They used traps, heavy weapons, and clever tactics to stop the enemy. The Tark were strong, but they were not fast enough to counter human strategy. Humans had learned from their harsh world. They knew how to survive against impossible odds. Laura watched the battlefield and saw civilians safely evacuated. She smiled briefly. "They are alive because we fight," she said. Her voice was calm, but her mind worked quickly. She knew the Tark reinforcements would not stop. She had to plan the next move carefully. Ethan joined her. "The shields are stable. Power is holding. We can give them a bigger surprise," Laura nodded. "Good, prepare for the strike. We take the fight to them." Above the city, the vanguard fired orbital cannons at Tark command ships. Explosions shook the streets and buildings. The humans on the ground used the blasts as cover, advancing while the Tark scrambled to respond. Every attack was coordinated. Every move was precise. In a destroyed district, Ethan repaired another energy node. Sparks flew, but he worked quickly. Liran helped carry parts and tools. "You are like a storm," she said. "Everything is chaos, but you bring order." Ethan smiled faintly. "That is what humans do. We survive chaos and protect life." The Tark commander realized his fleet was struggling. He sent more ships to attack from different angles. But humans had already predicted it. Fighter pods intercepted the new arrivals, drawing fire away from civilians. Drone teams disrupted Tark communications and sensors. Soldiers blocked all ground attacks. High Seer Alvrin watched quietly. He could not believe what he saw. The humans moved through fire and smoke as if it was nothing. They faced energy blasts and explosions without fear, and still they protected the weak. A small group of Ailari children hid in a shelter. One whispered to another, "They are from the death world. They cannot be stopped." On the ground, Laura led a counterattack against a Tark ground patrol threatening the main shelter. "Push them back," she shouted. Humans fought with precision, teamwork, and courage. Every Tark that approached was forced to retreat. The humans' determination was unbreakable. Ethan activated a new energy barrier that shielded the central district. Sparks flew and smoke filled the air, but the shield held. Civilians cheered quietly from inside. Liren watched, amazed. They turn ruins into protection, she said. They are more than strong. They are unstoppable. The battle raged through the day. Humans rescued hundreds of civilians, repaired broken energy nodes, and fought off repeated Tark attacks. Their courage never wavered. Soldier teams, engineers, and medics all worked together seamlessly. The Elari began to understand the full meaning of the word Deathworlders. WarZone growled as his armada suffered heavy losses. They are not afraid. They fight like the storms of their world. They survive everything. Stop them! But the humans did not stop. Laura sent another squad to block Tark reinforcements while fighter pods struck from above. Ethan coordinated defensive nodes, amplifying shields and controlling drones. The Elari watched in awe as humans seemed to be everywhere at once. As night fell, the city was scarred, but humans had saved thousands of lives. Fire still burned, but civilians were protected. The Tark fleet was damaged and retreating. Laura and Ethan walked through the streets, checking on survivors and medics. High Seer Alvrin came forward. Your people, your courage, it is beyond anything we imagined, he said. We have never seen mercy and strength together. You are Deathworlders and you are our hope. Laura smiled, tired but determined. We fight because it is right. We fight because we do not leave anyone behind. That is what humans do, Ethan added. And this is only the beginning. We will protect these people no matter what comes next. The Elari looked at the humans differently now. They had not just fought, they had shown mercy, courage, and unbreakable will. The word Deathworlders spread among the survivors. It was a word of respect, hope, and awe. Above the city, Tark ships retreated, battered and broken. WarZone knew he had underestimated the humans. They were not like any enemy he had faced before. Creatures who survived the harshest conditions on their homeworld, who fought through fire and death, and who still protected the weak. Laura stood on a ridge looking at the horizon. They will return, she said. But we will be ready. We fight for life, and that cannot be broken. Ethan looked beside her. We hold the line. We protect the innocent, and we show the galaxy what humans can do. High Seer Alvrin watched the humans depart for a moment of rest. If only the galaxy knew them, he whispered. Perhaps other worlds would learn mercy through strength. The humans prepared for the next day, knowing more Tark reinforcements were coming. They repaired energy shields, treated the wounded, and coordinated defensive positions. But the Elari knew they were safe under human protection. The Deathworlders of Earth had arrived, and the galaxy would never forget them. The battle for Varelon was over. The Tark fleet had been destroyed or forced to retreat. The skies, once full of fire and smoke, were now quiet. The cities were scarred, the ground littered with debris, but the Elari were alive. For the first time in weeks, there was a sense of calm. Captain Laura Harris stood on a ridge overlooking the capital city, Tiranel. Below, humans and Elari worked together. Civilians carried supplies, medics treated the wounded, and engineers repaired broken energy grids. The vanguard remained in orbit, ready to provide support, but the fight was done for now. Ethan Cole moved through the streets, helping clear rubble and restore power. Sparks flew from broken lines, but he worked quickly, checking every connection. A young Elari child, Talon, watched him. You are amazing, he said. Why do you do this for us? Ethan smiled, wiping soot from his face. Because we can, and because no one should be left behind. That is what humans do. High Seer Alvrin walked among the survivors. His white robes were torn and his hands shook slightly, but his eyes were bright. You saved our people, he said to Laura. I do not know how to thank you. You are not just warriors, you are guardians. Laura shook her head. We did what anyone should do. We fight when others cannot. We protect when others do not. That is all. The Elari gathered in the streets, whispering to each other. They are from a death world, one said. They survive everything, and yet they show mercy. Liren, the young Elari medic who had worked beside Ethan, nodded. They teach us courage. They teach us hope. They are Deathworlders, yes, but they are also kind. Over the next days, the humans helped rebuild Tiranel. Engineers worked with Elari builders to restore shelters, repair power systems, and clear debris. Medics treated every injured person they could find. Soldiers helped organize supply lines and patrol the streets to ensure safety. Laura moved through the city, checking on every group. She saw Elari families hugging each other, children laughing quietly as they returned to their homes. Civilians approached humans to offer thanks, but Laura waved them off. "We only did our duty," she said. "Your lives matter. That is enough for us." Ethan worked alongside Liren to restore communications. "With these repaired lines," Ethan said, "you can reach other cities quickly. You can warn of danger, and you can rebuild your civilization faster." Liren smiled. "We could never have done this alone. You and your people came when no one else would. That is a gift beyond words." High Seer Alvrin held a council in the rebuilt Capitol Hall. The leaders of the Ailari gathered around, speaking softly but eagerly. Alvrin gestured to the humans. "We wish to honor those who saved our people. We call them Earth's Deathworlders, for they come from a harsh world yet carry mercy in their hearts. They are our protectors and our friends." Laura stepped forward. "We do not need honor," she said. "We only need to see your people safe. That is the greatest reward." The Ailari began to share stories of what they had witnessed. Children told of soldiers carrying them through fire. Families spoke of medics working under explosions. The elders recounted engineers repairing power grids while the city burned. Every story painted the humans as fearless, merciful, and unbreakable. Meanwhile, in orbit, the Vanguard crew monitored distant regions. They had destroyed most of the Tark fleet, but their scanners picked up remnants fleeing toward other systems. Laura knew the fight was not over for the galaxy, but for Varellon it was a victory. Ethan joined her on the bridge. "The city is stable," he said. "Shields are up, energy is flowing, and civilians are safe. We can finally rest," Laura nodded. "Yes, but our duty does not end here. There are other worlds in need. We answered this call and others will come. We must be ready to answer again." Back on the surface, Liren helped treat a wounded soldier. "Your people are incredible," she said. "They face death and danger without fear, and yet they care for everyone else first." "How is that possible?" Ethan smiled faintly. "That is what being a Deathworlder means. We survive harsh conditions, we endure pain, and we do not forget the value of life. Mercy and strength go together." The Ailari began to rebuild their homes with human guidance. Roads were cleared, energy grids repaired, and food distributed. Families returned to the streets, and slowly Tyrannel regained life. Children ran and laughed, their first real smiles in weeks. High Seer Alvrin walked with Laura and Ethan. "Your people are a gift to this galaxy," he said. "If only all civilizations could see what mercy through strength looks like." Laura shook her head. "We are only humans. We do what we must, but your people have taught us as much as we taught you. Courage, hope, and the will to survive. That is universal." Days later, the Ailari held a memorial for both their dead and the humans who had fought alongside them. Statues were raised and names were carved into stone. At the center, the words read in both languages, "Mercy through strength." The humans gathered quietly. Laura stood beside Ethan, Ryan, and Mia. "We honor them," she said softly, "and we honor every life we can save." From that day, the Ailari called Earth their protector world. The humans had risked everything to save a civilization they had never met, showing courage and mercy unlike any species in the galaxy. In the days that followed, news of the humans' deeds spread to nearby star systems. Other oppressed worlds whispered stories of the Deathworlders who came when no one else would. Tales of humans walking through fire, protecting the weak and defeating the Tark fleet traveled faster than light. High Seer Alvrin stood on a balcony looking at the Vanguard preparing to depart. "Remember this," he said to the crowd of Ailari. "When the weak cry for help, the Deathworlders of Earth will answer. They are merciful yet strong. They are a force that cannot be ignored." Laura watched the city below, knowing they had made a difference. "We answered one call," she said, "and there will be more. We go because someone must. That is what humanity does." Ethan stood beside her. "They will tell stories about us," he said. "But the real story is what we do every day. Protect, endure, and survive." As the Vanguard lifted off from Varellon, the Ailari waved from the streets. Children ran to the edge of shelters shouting thanks. The adults bowed respectfully, and for the first time in generations, the Ailari felt hope for the future. Laura looked out at the stars. "We are just one world," she said. "But even one world can make a difference. We can survive anything. We can help anyone. We are Deathworlders and we will answer every call." Ethan nodded. "And every life we save makes the galaxy a little brighter." High Seer Alvrin whispered to himself as the Vanguard disappeared into hyperspace. "The Deathworlders of Earth. They came when no one else would. And the galaxy will never be the same. In the distance, other star systems watched silently. Some worlds would come to fear humans, others would come to respect them. But all would learn one truth. When the weak cry for mercy, the Deathworlders of Earth will come, and so, the legend of humanity grew not through conquest, but through courage, mercy, and unbroken resolve. The galaxy had met the Deathworlders, and they were a force of hope, strength, and protection unlike any the stars had ever known.